Alright, so today I want to show you some really crazy clown combinations to show you the true potential of clown. And it's kind of interesting if you look just at the clown gene by itself, it doesn't really look that impressive until you start mixing other genes in with the clown, and it can be really variable. You can make some really crazy looking clowns all the way from one extreme to the other. You can make some dark clowns, or you can make some really bright ones, or you can make some really goofy looking clowns. Clown is actually a recessive gene. You need 2 copies of the clown for visual, and I would consider it the king of combos for recessives. As a matter of fact, it may be the king of combos for all of ball pythons. Makes for probably the most impressive combinations. So today I want to jump over the internet and I want to show you the potential of the clown ball python. Alright, so I'm going to jump over here on Morphmarket.com and I want to start with just the clown by itself. This is what a clown looks like. And when I first started in ball pythons, it was kind of interesting. People were going crazy over just clowns, buying them up at reptile shows more than any other gene. I'd say probably the 2 most popular genes as far as what I saw sell at the reptile shows when I first started was the clowns and the pieds. Really popular. Both are recessive genes. And I kind of was scratching my head. It was like, why are people buying clowns? Because it doesn't really look that impressive by itself, but when you start mixing other genes in with the clown, you can make some really amazing combinations. So take a look at this. I actually pulled one up here that just kind of blew me away. This is a clown combo. Look what happens when you mix other genes into the clown. This one just blew me away. This is actually the Enchy Blade Yellow Belly Clown. So essentially what this is, it has yellow belly in it, which really brings out a lot of the yellow color, and then the Enchy, a lot of times the Enchy will reduce the pattern and also bring out kind of a yellowish orange color with it, and then the blade kind of reduces the pattern even further. Just look at this thing. It's one of the craziest clown combinations I've ever seen. As a matter of fact, if you're looking at some of the prices on these clown combos, most of these are a few $1,000s per snake. It is pretty incredible, some of the prices on these clowns. You can actually pick up just a base gene clown. Usually I think the females sell usually for like $200 or $300. Don't quote me on that. It really depends on the market and how many people are buying clowns, but it's a really amazing gene. Works really well with a lot of other combos. So take a look at this. This is actually the first time I've ever seen this. This is an axanthic clown. So axanthic is also recessive. So in order to get this snake, you'd have to take an axanthic, which is essentially what it does is it strips away all the color and just leaves you a black and white and silver snake. And then you'd have to breed it with a clown and get the double hets. So if you took an axanthic and bred it to a clown, you get all normal looking snakes, and you'd have to actually breed the double hets back together to get an axanthic clown. This also has blade in it. Blade's another gene similar to Enchy, but it reduces the pattern up on top of the snake. Makes for one of the craziest combos. And kind of the cool thing about the clowns, you'll notice on a lot of clown combos, is they have really crazy patterns on top of the head. Usually if you're wondering if you have clown in the mix, you can look at the head, and a lot of times you'll see this crazy pattern on the head, which indicates yes, you have clown in the mix. So take a look at this one. This one is crazy. Doesn't even look real. The first time I saw this, I was like, that almost looks like some kind of a fabric or something. Really crazy combination. And the genes in this one, this is actually the spot nose, the cinnamon, and the fire mixed in with clown. So the cinnamon is a dark gene, really darkens the background, kind of going towards the dark side of clowns. And then the fire actually lightens the background. You kind of have like a dark gene and a gene that lightens at the same time. And then you have spot nose, which really jumbles up the pattern, makes for a really crazy looking snake. This one actually sold for $4,000. That is pretty crazy. These clown combinations are just out of this world. So take a look at this one. This is really interesting. This is the combination of red stripe and lesser in with the clown. I actually just did a video on the red stripe, and it is starting to buy into the red stripe. It makes a lot of really amazing combinations. It's one of those lesser known genes that not a lot of people know about, and I think the red stripe is becoming more and more popular. As a matter of fact, I've actually seen some people under the comments of my videos, they're like, hey, can you do a red stripe video? And look what happens when you mix it with lesser and a clown. That is really amazing. Gives you this kind of almost like another fabric looking snake with this really wild line right down the top and kind of a faded outside on the sides of the snake. And you can definitely see kind of the crazy head pattern from the clown. So take a look at this. This is one of the most amazing combinations I've seen with clown. This is actually a lavender albino clown. And the first time I saw one of these was actually a YouTube video that was filmed in South Africa. And I think that's where they were first produced. I may be wrong on that one. That's the first time I actually seen them over there. And let me tell you, you can't even realize, you can't appreciate the intensity and the contrast of the snake unless you actually see it in person and people are handling it. It doesn't even look real. It's like someone's handling a toy snake or something like that. It is really crazy. It has a really sharp contrast between the whites and almost like a really bright orange on the side of the snake. And look at the pattern on that head. That is pretty crazy. This one also has leopard in the mix, and leopard just kind of jumbles up the pattern a little bit too. So take a look at this one. This is like an extreme opposite of everything that we've seen. This is an almost completely white snake, like a pinkish white, with a little bit of just a little tiny strip right down the top. It's pretty amazing what you can do with clown, mixing it with other genes. And this really isn't that complicated of, as far as genetics. This is essentially what this is. This is a queen bee, which is essentially that is the lesser pastel, and spider is the queen bee. And then you add the blade on top of that. So it's a blade queen bee clown, and the lesser really lightens a lot of combinations. I've noticed that with certain genes, you mix it with lesser, and a lot of times the lesser will completely wash out the snake, which is kind of interesting. Sometimes lesser, if you mix it with other certain genes, you'll actually get a really bright and high contrast snake. It really depends on which genes you combine it with. And then the spider is kind of reducing the pattern on the top along with the blade. And I think between the blade and the spider, you're really getting this really little line right down the top. That is pretty amazing. So this is something I haven't actually seen before. This is actually working GHI into a clown. I kind of stumbled on this over here on Morphmarket, and the weird thing is if you know what the GHI looks like, it usually has kind of a jumbled up pattern, and it's a really dark gene. It really darkens the background of a lot of combos. And kind of the weird thing about this is the pattern doesn't even really look like a GHI, and it doesn't even really look like a clown, and the head even doesn't even look hardly like a clown. You can definitely tell both genes are in there, but it's a really unexpected combination working GHI into the clown. It's pretty crazy. I actually pulled up a couple more GHI combos. Take a look at this. This is the GHI clown working in fire, which is a lightning gene, kind of going to the dark side of the clowns. It is pretty amazing. And this is kind of, I'd say this is kind of your more typical GHI pattern where it's kind of jumbled up as far as GHI, and you see a little bit of dark coming in the back from the GHI, and then the fire really lightening the background. Pretty amazing. And I have one more here with GHI. Take a look at this one. This is actually the GHI with the cinnamon. Both the GHI and cinnamon are dark genes, and I have to say this is probably the most impressive dark clown combo that I've actually seen over here on Morphmarket. I didn't even know a lot of these existed. I started digging around. I'm like, wow, these are really wild. The GHI cinnamon clown. So take a look at this. This is one of my favorite combinations when you actually work pinstripe in with the clown. And pinstripe it really explodes the pinstripe when you mix it in with clown. And this one also has orange dream in the mix, giving you kind of this coppery orange color with the pinstripe and the clown. I just saw this, and this was one of the most amazing snakes. As a matter of fact, I have quite a few pinstripes and clowns. I'm thinking of doing a pinstripe clown myself at some point. As a matter of fact, I actually have a banana enchi clown and some lemon blasts. I may do some pinstripe combos that are head for clown and kind of work towards working my pinstripe into the clown combos. I think it's really stunning. So this is, speaking of banana enchi clowns, I actually have one that's almost exactly like this. It was probably the most expensive snake that I ever bought in my collection. I just bought it last year, and it's doing really well. I'm going to breed them this fall with a bunch of snakes. I'm thinking maybe 3 or 4 snakes I want to try to breed that thing too. This is actually the banana enchi blade clown, and the banana really lightens. As a matter of fact, my banana clown is a little bit more orange than this. This is kind of the yellowest banana clown that I've ever seen. And then you add enchi to the mix, and usually what enchi does is it gives you all these little like blobs all along the top, and then you add blade, which really kind of brings the pattern into these streaks along the top. Makes for a really amazing combination. So this is a really amazing one too. Take a look at this. This is actually the butter blade leopard clown, which is a really amazing snake. And you see this really strong stripe right down the back of the snake. And usually when you mix butter and leopard together, or lesser and leopard, essentially the butter is pretty much the same thing as the lesser. But if you mix butter and leopard together, I'd say about 50% of the time you'll get a snake with a really strong stripe right down the back of the snake. And you're actually adding blade on top of that, which really kind of enhances the stripe. And it's weird when you add the leopard, it really kind of jumbles it up a little. But this combination, it seems like it's kind of wiping out the sides and bringing in a lot of this color. That is pretty amazing how yellow it is. That's a pretty amazing combination. So I kind of wanted to show you what super pastel does to clown. It's kind of interesting when you mix in pastel or super pastel with clown. For some reason, they work together to make some of the goofiest looking, some of the craziest looking combos. I think that's where it gets the name clown, because it almost looks like it came from a circus or something. It makes kind of the wildest combinations that I've ever seen in any ball pythons. And take a look at this. This is actually the super pastel leopard clown. A really simple combination with just a super pastel. And then you mix in leopard, really kind of jumbles up the pattern, and the super pastel brings in a lot of the yellow and really kind of scrambles up the pattern. Pretty amazing. And you notice on this one, it doesn't really have like a blade or inchy or anything, and you still get a really strong stripe. As a matter of fact, I've actually seen just some standalone clowns without any other genes in the mix, and that have a really strong stripe down the top. So sometimes clown can be kind of variable, and sometimes you get the stripe down the top without adding any of the genes like inchy or blade that really brings the stripe down the top. So take a look at this. This is a pretty simple combination too. This is actually, this is a killer Mojave clown, which is a super pastel with the Mojave. I thought this was kind of an interesting combination. So the super pastel, a lot of times it'll bring in a lot of white in the back and bring in a lot of yellow. And for some reason, when you mix it with the Mojave, it really reduces the pattern and brings in a lot of the white color. Makes for a really amazing combination between the super pastel and the Mojave. So here, this is actually the first time I've seen this over on Morphmarket. This is an Ultramel clown. And Ultramel is, I'd say it's one of those genes, kind of like a hidden gem in ball pythons. It's kind of related to, it's kind of similar to the albino, although it's not really related to the albino. Yeah, it's actually a recessive gene, and it looks similar to like some of the caramel albinos or something, kind of similar to Monarch, if you're trying to compare something to the Ultramel. And the kind of the weird thing about Ultramel is they're pretty, you know, it seems like it should be more popular than it is. A lot of people haven't really done a lot with Ultramel as far as, you know, I go to the reptile shows and I see very few Ultramels, which kind of surprises me. I thought there'd be a lot more Ultramels, you know, at the reptile shows and here in Morphmarket. And if you actually work it into the clown, you get a really amazing combination. It almost looks like what I'd kind of imagine like a Monarch clown would look like. Really amazing. You get a really dark, usually the Ultramel is a little bit lighter than this. The kind of the Monarch is a little bit darker like this. It makes for a really amazing combination. So this is kind of interesting too. This is actually a bamboo clown, the first one I've seen over here. As a matter of fact, the snake that I have around my neck at the beginning and the end of the videos, that is Bobby, my bamboo ball python. And a lot of people are saying, hey, you should breed Bobby to a clown and go for the bamboo clown. And I actually looked it up, and believe it or not, it looks kind of like a bamboo, kind of like a hybrid between the bamboo and the clown. The bamboo is usually really visually dominant, and a lot of times it's hard to get other genes to break through, but you can definitely tell in this case the clown really enhances the bamboo. Really amazing combo. So here's a couple more at the end I wanted to show you. This is kind of an interesting combination where it has this unusual pattern on the side of the snake. I can't say I've ever seen a clown with this pattern and color on the top, and it's actually just a spot nose butter inchy clown. So the spot nose is kind of interesting. If you mix the spot nose with clown, it really jumbles up the pattern and gives you a lot of high contrast. Spot nose works really well with the clown, and this actually has butter, which is kind of the same thing as a lesser, to really lighten the clown, which is where it's getting a lot of this lighter color. And then you have inchy, which is, I'm actually surprised that the inchy really doesn't reduce it more than this. Makes for a really amazing combo between these genes. So I want to show you this last one at the end, and this is another really simple combo, but look at this, the color and the pattern on that snake. For some reason, I just kind of fell in love with this snake. I was like, hey, that's actually what I should go for, but I don't have Mojave in my collection. This is actually the Banana Mojave Clown. And a lot of times when you work banana into the clown, it completely masks everything and you get kind of like a solid yellow snake with just a little pattern. And then when you add Mojave, look what the Mojave does. Really opens it up and brightens it. Probably one of the most amazing banana combos I've seen between the banana, the Mojave, and the clown. All right, so it is time for the question of the day. And Mr. Wheatman asks, can you please explain why it's better to cut the ball python eggs versus not cutting ball python eggs? And that is a very good question. I'd say it's probably the most debated question in all of ball pythons, whether to cut or not to cut. And essentially what we're talking about is you incubate ball python eggs at about 90 degrees for 2 months. And right before they hatch after 2 months, a lot of people will cut the eggs, and there's a couple reasons. A lot of people, including myself, will actually cut them just to peek inside to see what the results of the breeding are. Kind of a sneak peek as far as the genetics of the offspring. And some people say that, you know, the hatchling can actually get wrapped around the umbilical cord, and some people have actually said that their hatchling died in the egg because it was wrapped up in the umbilical cord, and if they would have cut it and repositioned the hatchling, they could have potentially saved that hatchling and had it hatch. And I've never actually had that happen to my hatchlings. Luckily, I've never really had any die in the egg, which is pretty fortunate. But I had kind of on the flip side, I've had just the opposite, where I actually, just one time, I actually cut open an egg and it was a really valuable hatchling. And as soon as I cut it open, that hatchling came flying out of the egg and then it died right after I cut it. And you're kind of scratching your head thinking, well, did that hatchling just die because I cut the egg open, or should I have left that egg? Could I have potentially saved it from not cutting that egg? And let me tell you, some people are waiting years or decades for a certain combination, and they cut the egg and it comes out and dies. And let me tell you, just a couple of those and you're pretty much switched from egg cutting to the bandwagon where you're like, I am never gonna cut a ball python egg ever again. And kind of what I do is I wait until the hatchlings are starting to come out. Usually they take their egg tooth and start making slits in the egg, and I figure at that point it's a pretty safe bet that you can actually go in and cut. I'd say it's kind of a divided camp. There's people on both sides, people that are, you know, die hard, I'm gonna cut all my eggs, and some people say I am never gonna cut a ball python egg ever again. So that is pretty much it. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.